Week 5 of the NFL season just ended, and that means it is time for the Week 6 NFL Power Rankings, in which I give you my top 10 NFL teams, starting at number 10, which is the Atlanta Falcons. After Week 1, no one thought this team would be any good after they got demolished by the Steelers. However, the past 4 weeks, Kirk Cousins has gotten better and better. Their wide receivers, headed by Drake London, look like a pretty good wide receiver core. Not the best in the NFL, but pretty good. Their tight end Kyle Pitts finally had a good game this week. And then, of course, they have one of the best running backs in the league, Bijan Robinson. On the defensive side of the ball, they have the best safety duo in the NFL. The rest of the defense is a little average in my opinion, but the safeties make up for it. And I think this Falcons team could be on the rise. I think they might be a pretty decent team if Kirk Cousins can keep it up. At number 9 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, I do know that the Falcons just beat the Bucs, and I have the Bucs higher. And well, that's because the Bucs have been way more consistent this year. They lost to the Broncos, who have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and then just to the Falcons there. So they are 3-2. They beat the Lions, which gives them a ton of bonus points. Baker Mayfield has looked as good as he ever has. He's looked very accurate, pretty mobile. Their wide receiver core is very good, and their defensive line is finally getting some people back from injuries, such as Vita Vea, who has greatly helped the team. I don't know how much high-end potential I see for the Bucs, but they're definitely a top 10 team right now. At number 8 is the Green Bay Packers. Weirdly enough, since Jordan Love is back, the team might be a little worse than they were with Malik. Jordan Love has not looked very good, but they still are finding some ways to win. Their wide receiver core, of course, is potentially the deepest in the NFL, although Dobbs got suspended last week, because he wasn't happy with his playing time, so he skipped practice. And Watson has a sprained ankle, so he's missed a few weeks as well. So this depth is getting tested, but they have it, so no concerns. Jaden Reed is an excellent wide receiver. Josh Jacobs, very good running back. And their defense, I think, is underrated. I think it's one of the better defenses in the NFL. Up next, at number 7, is the Washington Commanders. Some people may think this is way too low. Some people may think this is way too high because, well, it is Washington. But Jaden Daniels has looked excellent. He did have his worst game of the season this week, but they did still get an easy blowout win. Good wide receivers, a really good running back core that kind of branches off of Jaden Daniels' running ability. And that's kind of where they are. That's how they're 4-1. They have beat some bad teams, in my opinion, and their defense is very shaky. It was good this week. It was a good defensive effort this week, but the rest of the season, they haven't really been able to stop anything. And last year, they traded away several of their good defensive players, so it makes sense. I think this team is going to come down to earth, but that could just be the Eagles fan in me talking. But as of right now, have to put them at number 7 just for being 4-1 and being so impressive. Currently in first place in the NFC East, and they currently hold the number 2 overall seed in the NFC. At number 6, this team has struggled recently. That is the Buffalo Bills. They just lost 2 games in a row after looking like world beaters the first 3 weeks of the season. Josh Allen, well, he did look like he got hurt in this game, but he didn't really miss any time. They kind of threw him back out there. But it appears that he is finally missing the wide receivers like Stephon Diggs that they got rid of. They really need to utilize their tight ends and James Cook, maybe the rookie Coleman, if they want a chance. And their defense has lost so many good players. They were keeping it up for a while, but it seems the injuries and the suspensions have caught up to the Bills' defense. But I still believe in them. They've shown us for 4 or 5 years now that they're a really good team, and I guess we'll see this week when they play the Jets. If they lose 3 in a row, that's a pretty damning sign for the team, or they can turn it around and be in first place in the AFC East. At number 5 is the Baltimore Ravens. They almost lost this week to the Bengals, but they didn't. Of course, it was a divisional game versus Joe Burrow. Of course, it was going to be close. Lamar Jackson has looked like the MVP of the NFL so far, going for his 3rd, and it's just a complete team. This is one of the best regular season teams out there. As we all know, they've struggled some in the playoffs, but while we're in the regular season, they're a team you don't want to play, especially if you're in the NFC, since the NFC always loses to Lamar Jackson, not knowing how to deal with his speed. At number 4 is a team that didn't play this week, so they couldn't fall apart, but it is the Detroit Lions. Of course, great running game, great offense altogether, offensive coordinator. Jared Goff has been a little shaky this year, but we still believe in him. We've seen enough. Amon-Ra St. Brown, it keeps on going. Jameson Williams, Laporta's hurt, but he'll be back before too long, I think. Then on the defensive side of the ball, they have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. This is the category, which is the Super Bowl potential category. These top 4 teams, they just seem to be, I might include the Ravens as well. These top 5 teams are just a step above everyone else. At number 3 is the Houston Texans. I didn't quite believe in them the past few weeks. The first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, they just didn't impress me. However, beating the Bills in a game like this kind of upped my confidence. They're one of the only teams with 1 loss currently, so that has to help as well. The Texans are one of the few teams in the NFL with only 1 loss. Of course, you have to give them credit there. Even if it's an ugly win like versus the Jaguars, it is still a win. Stroud still looks really good, and I think their defense could get better throughout the season. At number 2 is the Minnesota Vikings. They have looked absolutely amazing in the first half. Great defense, great offense. The second half, though, they seem to be falling apart against the Packers and against the Jets. They've almost given up the victory. And I wonder if they're just taking their foot off the gas, or if as teams play them, maybe they figure them out a little bit. I honestly have no clue how good the Vikings will be as the season goes on. If you told me they fell apart, I'd be like, okay. Or if you told me they won the Super Bowl, I'd be like, oh, that's surprising. So I really don't know where to put them, but I have to give them their respect, put them at number 2. And then finally at number 1, if you watched this video before, you know that I have the Chiefs at number 1 until they lose, and guess what? They haven't lost yet. They've lost players like Rashid Rice, as painful as it is for my fantasy team, but the offense seems to still be good enough, and their defense is elite. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid. What else do I need to say? They're my number 1 team until they lose. So yeah, what's your thoughts on the video? What is your top 10 teams? Leave it down in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, and I will see you later.